Hello, everybody. You've tuned in to the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance, Cops for Kids, subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance. We thank them for their continued support of the Indiana State Police Roadshow. I want to thank Tom Trial for putting us on YouTube each and every week, putting our old films, our new films, the upcoming films he'll have on there here pretty soon, that things that Tom are working on. So make sure you go to the ISP YouTube site and check it out. A lot of neat information on there. Well, again, with me this week, I have Will Wingfield from ICJI. We were recently talking about some other upcoming events, Indiana Click It or Ticket, and now we're going to talk about something that's coming up now that I've seen out a lot here in the last couple of weeks. It's been slow getting out there this year because we've had such cold weather, but motorcycles. Motorcycles are hitting Indiana's highways and byways, and motorcycle safety, I know, is at the top of your guys' list. So talk to us a little bit what's happening with ICJI and motorcycle safety.
Yeah, so first, just a little bit about Indiana Criminal Justice Institute. We are the state's highway safety office. Mm-hmm. So that means that anything that involves getting drivers to be safer out of the roads in the way that they drive and their behaviors is what we're focused on. So obviously motorcycles has a lot to do with that. Motorcycles are overrepresented in the fatal crashes that we have in the state. They relative to the percent of vehicles they are on the roads. So with the weather finally breaking, right, and it sort of going from winter just straight into summer, people are getting on their bikes, and it's time to again celebrate Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month. And thankfully, Governor Holcomb issued a proclamation supporting the National Awareness Month.
Well, I know you guys work hard at getting information out and telling people about this and how to be safe and what to do. And I know Governor Holcomb is very, very engaged in this and does the Ride with a Bait every year to promote motorcycle safety. But we need to get more people to watch out for motorcycles, not only driving the vehicles because they're harder to see, they're not as large, and when they do have a crash, a lot of times they're the most vulnerable because of just the way that they're set up and out there. But we also need to instruct people or to get them to wear that safety equipment that's available to them also on the motorcycle.
Yeah, so there's two parts to that question there. I'll start with what drivers can do to make it safer out on the roads. And a lot of times, if you don't ride, it may seem like a lot of the things they're doing out on the road are reckless or just make no sense. But they're doing that to, one, better see the road for themselves, and two, to be better seen by other cars out on the road. So, weaving is not just something that they do for fun in and out of the lane. They do it so that it's easier for people to see them because no matter how well you have your mirrors adjusted, you're still only seeing about 60% of the perimeter of your car. That remaining 40% are all the blind spots that are there. So a motorcycle, being smaller, can sit in one of those blind spots. Now, obviously, they try not to do that, but they're dealing with other cars on the road that are going the speed they want to go. So what, as a driver, can you do? Well, the first thing is to check the mirrors twice. If they're in that blind spot for that moment that you take your eyes off the front and look at one of your side or rear view mirrors, you look again, they have an opportunity to get back into a spot where they can be seen. But then motorcycles, because of their small size, because of their different color, arrangements, can blend in with the background. So that's the other reason why looking twice is important. A lot of the things that you would advise drivers to do are the things you would advise them to do all the time. Like, for example, put on their blinker, which is fairly simple, but that signals.
It's a law too, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that little thing. But when you're turning or changing lanes, if there's an obstruction that you can't necessarily see around, you want to wait a little bit this time of year. Motorcycle registrations are up. You just need to assume that behind every corner, in every lane, that there's a motorcycle, and you just need to look twice. Our partners at Abate say motorcycles are everywhere, and I think that's really what you have to look out for.
And I've noticed too on some of these newer cars, ours being one, the B pillars we call them up here, are very difficult to see.
Mm-hmm.
You'll look once, come back, look again, and there's even a car that you missed.
Yep.
On those. So that's very, when you come up to a T intersection anywhere, make sure that you look twice, obviously, through those B pillars and don't miss a motorcycle, because that could be very easily missed.
Well, and what I thought you were going to say was that a lot of newer cars have blind spot monitors, little lights in the mirrors, or more advanced things that'll prevent you from steering into a lane if there's a car there.
Right.
That works for a big passenger car SUV. It might not work for a motorcycle. Mm-hmm. So don't rely on those systems either to overrule what you've always done as a driver.
Yeah, make sure that you're driving for them and for yourself also.
Yep.
So we've talked a little bit about maybe what the regular driver can do to look out for the motorcycle. What can the motorcyclist do to look out for the driver?
So the lists are very long. That's one of the reasons why I brought for you one of our flip books. These are really nice, and it's about 46 pages or so. And are
these available?
These are available through us, through the BMV. Okay. So certainly you can request them. We're in the process of printing some new ones with updated information. It goes through in fairly well detail, and it's really nice visually laid out, all the different things you can do. So I'm just going to go through some highlights of that if possible.
Absolutely.
First, let me sort of go through what's required by Indiana state law of all motorcyclists. You have to go through the regular process of becoming a licensed and registered driver in the state of Indiana. So you've got to get your driver's license. You've got to register your vehicle or vehicles, because many people who have a motorcycle also have a car they drive when the weather isn't nice. So that's the first thing that you have to do, the basic that everybody has to. There are some extra requirements on motorcycles. First, you have to pass a knowledge test to get a permit, or you can take a training course. So let's talk about the permit first. So our partners at the Bureau of Motor Vehicles have the knowledge test that you can take, and then that will get you a permit. And there's a limited amount of time that you can keep that permit or renew it. But while you have the permit, you can only ride from a half an hour before sunrise to a half an hour after sunset. You have to wear a helmet, and you can't have any passengers. So it's a lot like the graduated driver license that we have now for new drivers.
Well, you're learning, so you need to concentrate on your learning.
Exactly. And so once you've had a chance to learn how to drive the motorcycle, then you go and get the skills test, and that gets you an endorsement on your motorcycle, on your driver's license for driving motorcycles. It would be just like an endorsement you'd get for driving a large commercial vehicle. So that's what ultimately is required by Indiana law if you're going to be driving a motorcycle, and the fine can be up to $500 if you're caught not doing that. The other option, and it's the one that we recommend, is that you go through BMV and their partner training groups. A lot of motorcycle dealers have their own training classes. Mm-hmm. Abate has a program.
I've taken that.
You can now, and you can now use that to get your endorsement as well. That's a relatively recent development. So there's a ton of different training providers out there. They have the basic motorcycle safety course. Right. That'll get you your endorsement. If you have an endorsement, you just took the test, but you want to become a professional motorcycle rider, you can take the advanced course, and that will teach you some more advanced techniques for being safe and for really enjoying your rides and not having to worry too much about safety, because it's just second nature. Yeah. So those are the ones that we recommend to really be safe. As we look at the crash statistics, those who do not have the proper permit or endorsement on their license, and because of that they haven't gone through the proper training and developed the right skills, they, again, smaller percentage, but they make up a larger percentage when you look at the fatal crashes involving motorcycles, and particularly those that are single vehicle, right, running off the road. Yeah. Because, again, they just don't have those skills to navigate curves and other obstacles that you encounter on the road.
Yeah, that's totally different driving than driving a vehicle, obviously. Totally different aspect, totally different view of what you have. You hit a piece of plywood or a hole in the road with a car, may do a little damage or something, but you're probably not going to lose control of it, which you could with a motorcycle very easily. So there's a whole different aspect of what you need to be looking for and how far you need to be looking down the road to watch out for those hazards. So this driving course that you talked about, and again, I took the one from Abate several years ago when my wife was getting her motorcycle license. I just went along with her to do it. I was already grandfathered in with mine, but very, very worthwhile, very needed. Just teaches the basics of what you need to know, but there's a lot of things out there that people don't know, and just to even check up on their motorcycle, what they need to do daily to make sure it's safe to ride when they're going out.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. So in this flip book here, there's what they call T-clocks. It's a pre-ride inspection that you probably learned.
Yes.
For basically before you get out on the bike, what you do to do a quick inspection before you hit the road. So T stands for tires and wheels, and then clocks, C-L-O-C-S. The first C is for the controls of the vehicle, the levers, the throttle, the cable, the hoses, making sure those are all in working function. L is for the lights and the electronics on the bike itself. O would be checking the oils and other fluids in the vehicle. The second C is for the chassis and the chain, and then finally S is for the stands, making sure the side and center stands are working properly. So that's one of the things you can do. Again, the tips are really long in terms of, you'll learn all these in the class, but one of the other things that I think is really important is having the proper gear.
Right. Absolutely.
Even though it's not required in Indiana to wear a helmet, if you get in a crash, it's going to significantly reduce. Significantly. Let me emphasize that again.
Yes.
Repeat it. Your chances of getting injured or killed in a crash or a single vehicle incident if you run off the road. So,
boy, your head is one of the first things it's going to hit. There's just no way about it, and it's very vulnerable. And that helmet does a world of good. And also any leather riding apparel, and beyond that, even before getting in the crash, you see a lot of motorcyclists anymore wearing the very bright colored clothing, green or fluorescent orange to be seen, which is a great idea also.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And so, with the helmets, you're going to want to look for a DOT or Snell certification.
Right.
To make sure you're using the right helmet. There's some novelty helmets out there that don't really provide much protection.
No.
And then with the clothing, leather is best in terms of abrasion resistance if you're going to be on the road and just having that breathability. But on certain bikes and in certain cases, certain weather conditions, for example, you might want to use one that's got more of like a textile material that's weatherproof.
Yeah, it's going to keep you dry out there on the road and make you comfortable.
Or when it's cold.
Yeah. And there's a lot of riders that do that when it's colder.
Yep.
Riding, and gloves even are a good idea.
Absolutely.
In case you go down, because you naturally put your hands out as something like that happens. So we got a little over a minute left, Will, to talk about anything that you want to bring up to make sure that we get on here before we go, where we can find this information, or again, how people can get more information on these courses and things.
Yes. So I would encourage folks to visit ridesafeindiana.com if they're thinking about getting a motorcycle, or they don't have the permit or endorsement. They can go straight to the BMV's website and learn about that. The other thing I wanted to cover briefly was that motorcycles and drugs and alcohol don't mix.
Yeah.
Impaired motorcyclists are also overrepresented in our fatal crashes. So, there's a bit of a culture around alcohol and motorcycles. People tend to ride them when they're not working. It's not a utilitarian thing. It's a recreational thing,
right.
And that's where alcohol comes into play. And just even a little bit of alcohol, even if you're below that 0.8, can impair a lot of the skills that you need to safely,
in your judgment,
right, use your motorcycle. So, so that's one that's really important.
Well, Will, we're down to 5 seconds. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you doing it.
All right, as
Have a good
always,
evening.
thank you.
Roadshow is out.